Hey, Professor. So the first pitch is a story I titled The Heir of Barovia. Now, the story is essentially about a brother and sister. It's largely influenced by John Carter and the biblical story of Moses. Essentially, the story is about the conflict between a brother and a sister. Now, Ava, the thing with Ava is that her and her brother are inseparable since birth. They are, always together. Their father is the king, and at one point, the relationship is forever divided, and that happens when the Utan Empire, which is enslaved and lives under the tyrant rule of her family, essentially fights back. They fight back, they have a rebel attack against the crown, and they lose because they can't match the crown and the crown's army. And so what happens is that to prove her loyalty to the crown, her father, who she's always not had a very good relationship with, states, in order for you to prove your loyalty to the crown, I need you to behead this man. And Ava refuses, and that forever divides her relationship with her brother because her father exiles her, tells her to leave, tells her, I disown you, you're not part of this family, and she leaves. And before she leaves, she saves that man. She saves that man, and together they go on a journey where she ends up falling in love with this man and understanding a little bit more about him and why his people have been suffering. And so together they form an army and they come back. And when she comes back, her brother is the king, and her brother wears the crown, and he rules the same way as their father. And so it puts them at odds. Now, my next pitch is a story I titled Dear Amy. Now, Dear Amy is a mystery thriller, and it's revolving around what happened to Amy. Amy is found dead at school, and it looks like a suicide, but her family suspects foul play when they find out that the last person who saw her arguing with her boyfriend, star quarterback Matthew Silva. Now, Matt has this alibi. He says, well, I was at the homecoming game. I made this game-winning play. How could it have been me? But her family isn't so sure. Her family doesn't really believe his alibi, maybe believes he has an accomplice, and the story revolves around, why would Amy do this? Because Amy had no reason to do it. She was happy, she was popular. The relationship between her and Matt was strained, but a simple high school breakup wasn't enough to justify a suicide. So her family begins to suspect foul play. And her family, her mom especially, is convinced that it was Matt. So she hires a private investigator. And through this private investigator, we come to learn a little bit more about Matt. And Matt maybe isn't as innocent as we think he is. And the story is going to keep you guessing. Did Matt really kill her? Or was it an accomplice? Or was Amy just really unhappy? Was her mom just not aware of things that were going on in Amy's life? And I think it makes it interesting because in the end, you can decide. And my final pitch is a story I titled Replay. Now, the premise of this story is essentially wanting to relive one day. And can we change the outcome of our lives if we change one single action? Can everything be better if we could just go back to one single day? Now, that one day that Thomas needs to be changed is his 18th birthday. Now, on his 18th birthday, everything went wrong. Up until that point, he had the perfect life. His parents were in a loving relationship, popularity was off the charts at school, and he was dating the most beautiful girl there was, this girl, Sophie, who was way out of his league. He didn't even understand why she wanted to date him in the first place. But he had everything he wanted. He's like, I'm going to turn 18 now, I'll have my license, and what more could a guy want? But on his 18th birthday, everything goes bad. On his 18th birthday, Sophie and him break up. They have a huge argument, and the relationship is beyond repair. His family is torn apart because infidelity is found out, and his mom and dad decide to separate. 6 months later, his whole world is gone. So he has the thought that we all have, what if I could just go back? if I could go back to my 18th birthday, I could fix things with Sophie, I could have my parents not find out, and I could have the life that I lost. And he gets the opportunity. A wizard gives him that opportunity. He says, look, I'll give you the chance. You can go back to that one single day. We'll go back to your 18th birthday. You have 24 hours to make the changes. But in exchange, I want 1 year off your life. So Thomas has to debate, do I take the 1 year? And because of everything he's gone through, he says, it's worth it. 1 year off my life, I'll be an 80-year-old man. Who cares if I don't live to be 83? I'll be 82. It's not a big deal. I'll take the deal because this life that I'm living is not worth it. I want the life that I lost. So he makes the deal with the devil. He says, yes, 1 year off my life. Let's do it. He goes back. He fixes it. Fixes the situation with Sophie. Fixes the situation with his parents. But the thing with the devil, the thing with deals with him is that the 1 year off his life was the last year of his life. And so on his 18th birthday, Thomas dies. And that's the twist.